summary in English of what I said earlier in Samoa. Today, Cabinet met. Wednesday is our usual day for Cabinet. And at its conclusion, I felt that it was an appropriate time to make this, to have this press conference, to convey some of the decisions that Cabinet has undertaken after its first week in office. Last week was mostly taken up with clarifying for the incoming government the different budget provisions that have been made. I would like to acknowledge that our Treasury had, in its usual work, prepared a annual budget for the year 21-22, and that is in place. However, due to our political impasse, you will appreciate that Parliament has not been able to convene and pass a budget for the new financial year. So, as an incoming government and already into the new financial year, it was important for us to be clear on the provisions that the caretaker government had taken to ensure the continuation of government work. Briefly, the Section 105 of the Constitution, which applies to emergencies, was used by our outgoing government, the provisions there to ensure the running of government. We as an incoming government had thought that we would use a different provision, Article 95 of the Constitution, which allows for 25% of the previous budget to be utilized as a transition budget while the main budget is prepared and can be tabled in Parliament. So in short, and especially with considerations for the timing of our emergency proclamations, which are made on a monthly basis. The last proclamation ended on the 1st of August, so the work last week was very important that we coordinate the decisions on the budget preparations, that it also works in tandem with the proclamation for the new period, which started on the 2nd of August to the 29th of August. So most of last week was taken up on the work of the budget and also the SOE provisions. Some of the amendments that were made to the conditions of SOE were on the recommendation of our New York committee, was some loosening of provisions with regards to trading hours on Sunday. Shops and supermarkets and petrol stations can now open on Sundays from 12 p.m. to 10 at night. The provisions for going to the beach on Sunday has now been loosened, and people can now go to the beach from 12 o'clock in the afternoon. But this is, of course, also needs to take into account with our public what the rules and conditions of the different villages where our beaches are at. But of course, the target group for this particular loosening of the provisions of SOE are our tourism sector, our hotels and accommodation businesses in our beachfront areas. The travel between Savaii and Upolu on Sundays has been recommended to be returned to the normal hours that were there previously, and also for gatherings for fundraising. This has been also loosened at the recommendation of our New York committee. One significant recommendation to Cabinet was the beginning of negotiations between Samoa and New Zealand, Samoa and American Samoa, with regards to the possibility of opening up of borders and travel between the two countries. Can I underscore that this is the beginning of the negotiation, not an immediate opening of our borders. This, you will appreciate, is quite a complex issue because it's not just about what we want, it's also about the conditions prevailing in these two countries, New Zealand and American Samoa. You might have also heard earlier in the week that the New Zealand government made an announcement that their RSE program will restart in September for Samoa, Vanuatu and Tonga. And this will be done with a non-quarantine requirement. So this is an indication, I suppose, that can take a lead with these negotiations, that our officials here in Samoa will begin with both New Zealand and American Samoa. The ministers of the new cabinet have begun their meetings not only with the senior officials and management of their respective ministries and authorities under their portfolios, but also having the opportunity to meet with the broader service. And this is very good, of course, for an incoming government, that these meetings can take place, and for the new cabinet to familiarize themselves with their ministerial portfolios. So the work of government coming into the second week, we hope to be regularizing. Last week, cabinet seemed to have been meeting every day. This week, we are meeting today, which is the dedicated cabinet day. So this is a mark that we're getting to the regular workings of cabinet. And of course, if we require other meetings, then we will call special meetings. So that's a brief summary of some of the happenings in the first week of our incoming government, and I wish everyone well at the end of this Wednesday. Te whāsau fua.
Any questions? Any ceiling?
I just want to ask you, Madam Prime Minister, on the lifting of trading hours for Sundays. You have mentioned something about, putting in place a law to have Sunday, legally banned for any trading.
What's your question?
Can you elaborate more on that?
Oh, okay. Well, I think the point needs to be made that the Sunday ban was done under emergency conditions. So it's not really a law per se. It was a condition that was put in place to protect people under COVID situations. But if it is the wish of the country that we do move or adapt a law where we keep the Sabbath, then I think that that is something that needs to be a dedicated law. I think it's something that we need a discussion on in the country, because no one had discussion about Sunday banning. It was all part of the protections for COVID.
Prime Minister, I just have one question, please. Tomorrow's August the 5th, and it would have been your father's 100th birthday. He was a respected leader, not only in the region, but also around the world. Do you have anything to say about this?
Well, I was reflecting on that it would have been his 100th birthday. I think I got a message from, you're from Observer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I got a message from one of your reporters. Or was it you?
Yes, ma'am.
I thought it was someone called Tina. Are you called Tina?
No, that's Mark.
Oh, right. So the question was, Oh, right. Just saying, you know, it's an anniversary. It's a significant anniversary. You know, perhaps just for my family. But also the other question was, if I was having a conversation with my dad, you know, what would I be saying? So I said, sorry, if I was having a conversation, it would be a private one.
Any Celia?
Wait a little bit. 11 of them.